She wanted a divorce 9 months into her marriage, not because he cheated, because of what she found in his phone and what happened at dinner. This is how you catch someone without even trying. Take notes, my people. I'm 29. My husband Mark is 29. We've been together 4 years. I love him so much. Even now, wanting a divorce, I still love him. About 3 months ago, I stopped by Mark's office to surprise him. That's when I saw her, his coworker. They were laughing, comfortable, clearly close, and I'd never heard her name in my life. Turns out they'd been working together for 5 years and were very good friends. 5 years! And in 4 years of dating and marriage, he'd never once mentioned her? 5 years of friendship, and she finds out by accident? That's not an oversight, that's a classified file. I started paying attention to his phone, and sure enough, he was texting her almost every evening, multiple times a day on weekends, when working from home, even on vacation. I asked why I'd never heard of this supposed close friend. His answer? We rarely talk about work because you wouldn't understand my field anyway. Oh, okay, she wouldn't understand the field. That's why he hid an entire human being for half a decade. Makes perfect sense. I told him straight, I don't play games. It's weird that I've never heard of someone he's in contact with daily. He handed me his phone and said they don't talk every day, just in waves, when she's having problems at home. I read their messages. There were pet names, inside jokes. She was complaining about her bedroom situation with her husband. She was asking Mark flirty questions about me, thinly disguised as humor. She asked if I threw him a good birthday party. His birthday was June 14th, and that message hit different, because he was texting her from his own party. She replied, "You must be bored at your own party if you're texting me instead of being with your wife." She's texting him at his wife's party, roasting the wife's party, and he's just sitting there replying instead of eating the food his wife spent hours making. That's not a friendship. That's a situationship with plausible deniability. I told Mark that I didn't think these messages were appropriate, and that to me it looked like flirting. He seemed surprised, but said he'd stop if it bothered me that much. A month later, the messages started creeping back. I told him again that I wasn't comfortable, and this time his solution was to bring her to our house to meet me, to reassure me that nothing was going on. She was smirking the entire time, condescending, basically told me that if I felt threatened by their friendship, that was a me problem and she wasn't going to deal with my low self-esteem. He brought the woman his wife is worried about into their home so she could personally insult his wife? That's not conflict resolution, that's an ambush. When she left, I told Mark I didn't want to see, hear, or know anything about this woman ever again. If he preferred her friendship over our marriage, he should say so right now. They stopped texting. We went on a 3-week vacation to Santorini. She texted him 2 or 3 times a day the entire trip. He'd reply at the end of each day when I was in the shower. When I asked why she was writing, he said she's having marriage problems. I asked him if he was also a licensed family therapist on top of his actual job. He laughed it off. She's having marriage problems. That's always the excuse, isn't it? Nobody's ever texting your husband to ask about the weather. It's always problems at home. Funny how those problems require daily consultations with your spouse. After Santorini, we still had a week of vacation left. We went out for dinner and a movie, and who showed up at the same restaurant? Her and her husband. What a coincidence. She probably knew our plans somehow because there they were. She asked if we wanted to join their table. I said yes. She was charming, asking about our trip, touching Mark's arm casually during conversation. Then I decided to ask how things were going for them, since I'd heard from Mark they were having marriage problems. All 3 of them froze. Her husband said, "What? Who told you that?" I said, "My husband did." Mark scrambled with some weak excuse. I pushed, "But you showed me messages she sends you every day about her problems. Sorry if I misunderstood." She shot Mark a death glare across the table. Boom. She didn't even plan it. She just asked a normal question at dinner and accidentally detonated the entire thing. That's not a chess move. That's a grenade disguised as small talk. Beautiful. When we got home, Mark said I went too far, but I'd had enough. I asked the question, had they slept together? He said yes, once, before he'd even met her. I told him I wanted a divorce, because at minimum, this was an emotional affair. He denied everything and called me stupid for wanting a divorce over texts with a friend. I've been thinking about it for 2 weeks now. I'm certain. I want out. We're not fighting, but I moved him to the living room. No intimacy, no physical contact. I spend my days outside, work, the gym, long walks, the library, movies alone. I come home, shower, and go to bed. I told my mother. She thinks I'm making a mountain out of a molehill. My in-laws know too. They also think I'm overreacting. Everyone thinks she's overreacting. Her mom, his parents, probably the family dog. That's how it always goes. Nobody believes it until it's too late. And then it's, oh, we should have listened. Mark tried everything. He offered to stop the friendship, go to couples therapy, find a new job, even move to a different city. But I don't want it. I don't want to be the person who has to explain to him that this is wrong. I don't want to be with someone who doesn't take my feelings seriously until it's too late. This is the hardest decision of my life, and it hurts because I miss him. But sometimes you have to make the hard call. Then Mark wrote his own version online, looking for sympathy. He didn't find any. He wrote, "My wife is leaving because she thinks I'm cheating with my married coworker. It's not true. She's the kindest, most beautiful girl I've ever met, and I belong entirely to her. Everyone who knows us is shocked. They all say she's lost her mind, and yet she trusted strangers on the internet who told her I'm a bad husband." The strangers on the internet were not sympathetic. Everyone says she's crazy. Buddy, everyone said the earth was flat too. Consensus doesn't make you innocent. People reminded him that he'd brought his flirty married coworker into his house to gaslight his wife, that he'd kept texting her after being asked to stop, that he'd slept with a married woman before they even met, that he couldn't even admit he enjoyed the attention. His defense? Being dumb and being a cheater aren't the same thing. And I never had feelings for my coworker. She didn't tell me she was married, and we slept together my first day on the job. I was 24. First day on the job? Brother, most people get a company laptop on day one. You got a whole situation. People asked him if he'd told her husband the truth. He said no. He thought the wife should tell him herself out of respect. They have small kids. Everyone pointed out that his wife had asked him to tell the husband. He was just too scared to do it. His final take? I didn't think about her boundaries. I just knew my own feelings and thought she had no reason to doubt my love. Translation? I knew I wasn't cheating, so I assumed that was enough. I didn't think my wife's feelings mattered as long as mine were clear. He's offering to change jobs and move cities, but only after I said I was leaving. Why do people only understand consequences when they're already happening? He's still trying to win me back, begging, panicking. I feel for him. I'm not heartless. I love him, and it hurts to see him in pain, but I can't unsee what I've seen. Let's wrap this up. What she did right? She trusted her gut. Every instinct told her something was off, and even when everyone around her said she was crazy, she didn't fold. And that dinner scene? Unintentionally asking about marriage problems in front of the coworker's husband? Chef's kiss. Accidental genius. What he did wrong? Where do I start? Hiding a 5-year friendship from your wife is strike 1. Continuing to text after she asked you to stop is strike 2. Bringing the woman to your house to tell your wife she has low self-esteem is strike 3, 4, and 5. And my advice? If your friend is texting you while your wife is making you birthday food in the kitchen and your response is to text back instead of eating the food, you've already made your choice. You just haven't admitted it yet. Also, she's having marriage problems is not a valid reason for daily contact with someone else's husband. Get a therapist like the rest of us. They're cheaper than a divorce. Trust your instincts, even when the whole world tells you you're wrong, especially then. If you've ever accidentally exposed someone at dinner, I'm begging you to drop that story in the comments. I live for restaurant chaos. Subscribe for more stories where the truth comes out in the worst possible time. Hades out.